number of benefits.
The following program was recorded at RILA's annual logistics conference in Orlando, Florida. I'm pleased to welcome Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Brain, Russell Goodman.
Trends in retail distribution. Here to discuss that with us is Mike Khodl, Senior Vice President, Integrated Systems of Dematic. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Mike, in your estimation, what do you think some of the top challenges are today in retail distribution?
Certainly there are many challenges in distribution today, especially in the retail world. But some of the top ones that may exist out there today are, first and foremost, SKU proliferation. And SKU proliferation creates a big issue in the distribution center because it creates different levels of movement associated with those SKUs and all the different formats that have to take place on the shelf for customers today. Some other challenges are multi-store formats, for example. A lot of retailers are going to neighborhood markets, of which they have to have maybe an ethnic level SKU base versus a broad SKU base. So all of those challenges get driven back into the distribution center on how the distribution center can fulfill the orders to all of those stores. Additionally, store-friendly deliveries. In today's environment, the store costs a lot of money to operate, and the labor to double touch those cases or whatever it takes in the back room to fulfill the shelf. So creating in the distribution center an order that is store friendly, aisle friendly, and shelf friendly is certainly a challenge out there in the industry.
Describe for us the impact that you think that the issues that you just mentioned have on the retail business.
Certainly. I think first and foremost, it's all about the overall cost of that distribution network. A couple areas of focus within that arena is the fact that labor, both in the distribution center and the store, have to be raised in order to operate an inefficient facility, whether it be the DC or the back room of the store. So certainly labor cost is a big one. In addition, labor availability is an issue. Not too many people tell their children to go to college and become a picker in a distribution center. So the future availability of labor is a challenge in this economy as well as in our environment today.
Let's take somewhat of a retrospective now and answer this question. How have companies traditionally dealt with these problems, solved these issues?
Sure. First and foremost, the retailers have focused primarily inside of the distribution center or within the four walls of the distribution center traditionally. And in today's environment, that isn't where necessarily all of the cost benefits are or the improvements need to be focused on. You know, for example, some of the things that retailers have done inside the distribution is maybe apply some different technologies, like a sortation system to do some routing and sorting to an order consolidation station. And there are many variables associated with that. They've put some pick-to-belt systems in, maybe to make their operators a little more efficient. Or they've done a light-driven or an RF-driven or a voice-driven picking system, all focused on making that distribution center more effective, not taking into regard what the downstream or the upstream process associated with that distribution center is, and therefore the focus has to change, and the focus is changing in the industry, especially with retailers. You know, they don't necessarily manufacture a lot of their own products. So how do they efficiently get product from the manufacturer into that distribution center and out to those stores at the point of sale level? So that's the focus moving forward.
Well, let's change our focus and in fact do look forward. Talk to us now or walk us through new solutions that are being implemented.
Sure. I think some of the new solutions that we're seeing in the retail market specifically, goods-to-person picking is definitely a trend. Goods-to-person picking is different from a traditional method where the person goes to the goods to pick it. So that person has to walk by a lot of product to pick the 10 products it needs for that particular order. So what goods-to-person does is it brings product to a picker. So that picker's in a stationary environment. It makes that person a lot more effective and a lot more efficient within the distribution center. And there's different ways to drive a goods-to-person station. So some solutions carry high-speed buffers and sequencers. So automated full-case pick engines, automated storage and delivery. Those are all trends that fulfill that need associated with goods-to-person. And at the end of the day, all of that brings productivity, brings efficiency, and brings labor down within the distribution center. And at the end of the day, makes that store back room more efficient and more effective inside of that facility.
I think the viewer is saying, this sounds interesting to me, but before I stroke a check and make the kind of investment that Mike is talking about, I want to hear more about the benefits and the improvements that I'm going to get from these kind of solutions that he's talking about. What do you say to that viewer?
Certainly. You know, there's a number of benefits. Of course, each individual operation has different ROI calculation or different IRR calculation, whatever they may use. But some of the generic ones that come into play of these types of solutions are, one, you're reducing the labor in two areas. One in your store, which we talked about earlier, the fact that it's inefficient today in the way the distribution center delivers product. So you may be able to remove 20, 30 hours a week of labor times multiple people inside of that store, depending on the size of the store. You're also taking the labor down inside of the distribution center. So, for example, we talked about goods to person versus person to goods. Maybe a 40% reduction in labor requirements in that distribution center. That's significant. Also associated with taking that labor out of a distribution center and putting some of the automation elements that we talked about, like a automated buffer sequencer or a goods-to-person workstation, you can bring the footprint of that facility down. So there's a couple ways that impacts an overall ROI as well. First, if you're building a greenfield facility, that distribution center, if you automate it in a certain way, can be reduced in size significantly. So your land cost, your facility costs all come down and drive your ROI. Secondly, if you have an existing operation, some of these new solutions and technologies fit within an existing facility, a 30 or 40 foot tall bay. So we have the ability to integrate these new technologies from a subsystem perspective into that existing operation and possibly delay or eliminate the need to build a new distribution center or expand an existing distribution network. So that all has a significant impact on the overall cost to a retail operation. Now, some other benefits that come out of this that aren't necessarily hard ROI items but can be some soft ROI items are you reduce damage because you have less human touches with the product. You increase accuracy, so those machines can pick and produce more repeated or more repeatedly, which ultimately gives those retailers less returns to process, less quality checks to have to perform, ultimately making that distribution center more productive and more efficient within the network.
It's been some valuable information, Mike. Thank you for meeting with us today.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Mike Khodl, Dematic, speaking with us today about trends in retail distribution. Thanks for watching.